Hello, everyone. My name is Vernice, and this is my podcast, Speak Up. I hope you guys are all having an amazing week. I'm so happy to be here. For those of you that don't know, the mission statement for this podcast is we'll use our voices to motivate people to overcome life's challenges through self love and respect. So, this is a place for self love and respect. Happy Women's History Month. You know, I got a amazing woman on this. I can't wait to pick her brain and get to know more about her. You guys give it up for artist and songwriter Alayah Simone. Hi. Oh, I finally got you on here. Let me know welcome. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Yes, I'm so excited to interview you today. Yes, I'm pretty sure you have a story and everything.
Yes. I'm ready.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Alayah Simone. I am LA, born and raised, South Central, Watts, in the Deep East. I am an artist. I'm a singer, a songwriter. I'm also a creative director and a stylist. I dabble and dabble with a little photography and videography, kind of part of my creative direction vibe, but I'm just an overall creative. I do everything.
Mm-hmm. Look, I be seeing your visuals online. You be on there killing it. Y'all, she can skate too.
Oh yeah, I'm skating.
I'm like, okay, yeah, we got this get the skating ring when you back.
Yes.
Yes, I'm with it. I'm with it. So you know, as you mentioned, you know, you are an artist. So we're gonna get into your artist spotlight. Yes. So tell us what got you into music.
So I've been singing all my life. I come from a family of singers.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been an outlet, singing and songwriting, poetry writing. It's always been an outlet for me.
Mm-hmm.
When I got a little older, I learned how to produce and record in high school. And then I kind of, dabbled in other things. And then I ended up coming right back to it. Around 2019, actually, unfortunately, after Nick passed away, he passed away on my birthday. And it kind of sparked something in me. I picked up a pen for the first time in years to write a song. I wrote a tribute. My cousin heard it. He paid for a studio session for me to record it. That was my first time recording in years. We shot a video for it. That was the first video I had ever shot. And that came out and went viral. And it's kind of just been up from there.
It just went on. Oh my goodness! My condolences. It's crazy how sometimes some of our like the artwork that comes out of the pain that we feel.
Yeah,
definitely. And so speaking of, I know you mentioned different things about music. So which artists did you look up to growing up?
Aaliyah. Aaliyah was my everything as a child, and even a lot of people thought that it was because of the similarities in our names, or the fact that we both sang. It might have been a little bit of that, but honestly, she was just everything I wanted to be. From the style to hair and beauty, she's always been the standard for me. I've always been obsessed. Over the years, of course, I've gained new inspirations, artists that I love now, of course, the Queen, Beyonce, Victoria Monet, Alex Isley, her, Tiana Taylor, Alex Vaughn, all the R&B girlies that's doing it up. But from jump, since I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, it was Aaliyah.
Aaliyah, great. I was just bumping her today. I was bumping If Your Girl Only Knew. I'm gonna lie, she inspires my bang. I always had to learn how to go it out just for her.
Yes, absolutely.
That side part, she was killing that. So.
Iconic side bang, okay?
I love great answers, by the way. And I remember too. You used to always post like song covers, and they were so beautiful. Like your voice, I was like, oh my goodness, like you really could sing. You're very talented.
Thank you.
And you that on here, yeah. So, we already kind of spoke about pain and stuff. But anything you want to add on? What are your like favorite topics to write music about? Writing music is a really impressive skill. So, like, what do you like to tap into?
I'm a lover girl, so I love
Yes.
the song.
Mhm.
I've dabbled in other types of songs. Like I've dabbled in the he man woman hater songs or the she girl man hater songs.
Mhm.
It's cool. It was fun, but I feel like it has to be done a certain way. I like it
Mhm.
tasteful and smooth. I don't want to just be obscene with it. But love songs, as I get older and I experience more love, especially now that I'm in a healthy relationship.
Yeah, I feel that.
I don't know. It feels good to write those songs. It doesn't feel like so far fetched. So they kind of come easier now.
Mhm.
And I can still write other things, but love songs are like
Number one, we need more lover girl songs. I'm sorry, especially today. Like it's a lot of. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong about writing about heartbreak, but we need more. I miss those happy songs, like how
yes,
love makes you feel.
yes.
So yes, please more of that. Because I'm tired of it. I'm hurt. No, now I'm healed. What do I do? Like, give me that, please. Okay. And
Yeah.
I write poetry, but I know like writing music is definitely a different process, because you have to match it to the beat and things like that. So what does the process of writing a song actually look like? Or like, what's it like for you?
Mm, writing music for me, honestly, sometimes it goes rather quickly. Um, because sometimes I write like prior to hearing music, but most of the time I write once I hear music.
Mm-hmm.
And I may sit with a beat for days. Sometimes I'll sit on a beat for months. And I'll be like, okay, I don't really know where I want to go with that. And then something random will hit me.
Mm-hmm.
And once it hits me, it just kind of flows. And I've never really had a moment where like I started a song and I didn't know how to finish it like almost immediately. Like in like a day or so, I'll have it done. If not less. I've written songs in minutes. I've written songs in a few hours. And it's never any pressure, not being under any pressure or anything. It's just sometimes the ideas they just flow and it makes sense and I just be wanting to get it out like right then and there. That might be the impatience in me, but I like to finish stuff when I start it because I don't know when I'm gonna pick it up again. So it's the process for me is fairly, I don't want to say simple, but it's not really dragged out. I think the longest part for me is sometimes when I sit with music for a while and I'm just like, okay, I hear this beat and I want it to sound a certain way. I want it to do a certain thing. I want to say a certain thing. So I'm not going to rush it. I'm not going to touch this right now. And I'll come back to it some months later and it just flows.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm here. So, and also too, so I know music, it tells a story, it has different feelings that it gives you, especially different artists. So, if you had to choose, what is a message that you want like your audience to receive when they're listening to one of your songs?
Honestly, so right now I'm in a space where I'm still trying to find my audience. I'm still trying to find myself as an artist. I'm in the very beginning stages, I feel, of artistry. Even though I've been doing it for a long time, I feel like it's like I'm unfolding new chapters as I get older, as I experience more things. So my music has kind of been all over the place, like not necessarily content wise, but some content wise and some like sound wise. But if anything, for people that listen to me, understanding that, I'm just a person just like you. And my biggest things, the biggest lessons I'm learning right now are confidence and consistency. And while I may not have necessarily found the way yet to put them in a lot of my songs or put those things in my songs. As a person, like for people paying attention to me, I just want them to recognize the significance of confidence and consistency. I struggle with those things. Ooh, I struggle.
We all do, don't we all? Yeah.
I struggle, but my current era is calling for both of them. It's calling for me to be resilient and stay the path, and it's causing me, to force myself into my confidence and stay there, and force myself into being consistent and stay there. That's what, whether I'm singing it or I'm just saying it, I really want people to take that away.
I love that. Actually, you just spoke to me by saying that. So, like, and and like it's like they say, happiness and all that is a decision. It's the same with our consistency and everything. So, I love that. Well said. And also too, so in your opinion, what makes your music unique?
What makes my music unique? That's a good one. I know that I have a different sound than I hear. I don't really know anybody that sounds like me. But I think I'm pretty crafty with the way that I word things. I'm kind of particular about it, so I try not to say things that I've heard before, even though I have my inspirations and I have, the artists that I look up to. I try my best to, even if I'm writing about the same thing, I try my best to write in a way where it's like, oh, I never thought of it that way, or I never heard it said quite that way. Because I do that a lot, even when I speak to people or when I'm giving advice or something like that. So a lot of time I'll get a response that's like, oh, I never thought of it that way, or I've never heard anyone say it that way. So I like to use that in my writing as well.
Okay, like your own personal style and touch.
Yeah.
It's true. Some people do have a certain way of saying things that can tempt certain audiences that some people don't have. So I feel that there's definitely a give. So any upcoming shows or projects you want to talk about?
Yes, it's actually a really exciting time for me right now. With new projects. I'm a busy bee this month. I'm everywhere. I'm always a busy bee, but this month is crazy. So I'm actually preparing for the release of a new single.
Okay.
Super excited. Next week we're shooting a music video, which I'm always excited to shoot music videos because I get to play Alayah Simone, the artist, and I also get to play myself as a creative director. I'm very hands-on in my everything. So my music videos, I've become such a DIY girly. I've purchased my own camera. I've purchased my own stabilizer, all of my lighting equipment. Like, just give me somewhere to shoot it and I'll be there. I'll set it up. I'll style myself, create the whole vibe. So right now, I'm in the process of preparing for a week of rehearsals because I'm digging into my dance bag. I haven't danced in years, so but I'm really excited. The single comes out in May, so you guys will be hearing about it really soon. But yeah, I'm preparing for that single, and then I have another single that's gonna follow. I don't want to give too much on that one because it's still a little ways out. But I do have some new music coming, and along with that new music, it'll also be new visuals. So it'll be new opportunities for people to see me operating as my creative direction business as well.
Oh my goodness. And I feel you on that DIY thing because I feel like the pandemic pushed us all to really get into that. Yes, and it's so cool. You can craft your own stuff and put it together. So y'all look out for these singles she got coming out. Look, and visuals. I'm excited to see. Shoot. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. But tonight, y'all, tonight's episode is titled Delayed with Clarity. I know it's a lot going on in the world right now. You know, it's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of things we have no control of. And, you know, I wanted to take this episode to really let's just talk about it. Let's talk about the importance of actually being delayed and the pros and the cons and how to get through it. So let's get into the ask up question of the evening. So if you're out there listening, please comment. I do go back and read the comments. I'm going to go ahead and answer the question first, and I will give it to you, Alayah, to answer as well. So the actual question of the day is, what is an important lesson that delay has taught you? So, yeah, I used to be that person. I want things done fast, you know, take control of everything. And delay has taught me that one, I don't have control. It also taught me the importance of patience, and it taught me the importance of resetting. Sometimes we're actually on our way down the wrong path too fast, and sometimes those delays give you those moments to kind of sit back and recharge and really think thoroughly of what you want to do next, and it helps you build that stamina of that patience. So for me at this moment, that's what delay has taught me. What about you? What's an important lesson that delay has taught you?
Actually, it's similar. I feel like it's about reflection and solidifying your why
Oh,
when
okay.
it comes to what you're doing, making sure it's beneficial to
Hmm.
yourself. I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason,
Hmm.
even if it's inconvenient,
Hmm.
even if it's not in the right time frame, even if it's not, exactly what you want. I thoroughly believe everything happens for a reason. So
Hmm.
I would rather experience the delay, and it's natural to be upset, in the moment, but I would rather experience the delay and, just be hopeful for a better outcome than to do it in that moment. And it, we know how that can go.
Yeah, we definitely know how that can go. That's a great answer. Now let's get into that. So let's talk about the importance of delay. I mean, I'm gonna use this corny example, but think about a plane when your flight is delayed. It's a reason, right? The weather isn't clear or something's up with the plane. You know, and we gotta you have to listen to that, right? So you can make it to your destination safely. So we kind of gotta look at that when it comes to life circumstances. Like sometimes things aren't our fault, or sometimes it is something stupid messing with us. But for the most part, there are like things in delay that it could teach us. Like, what is it teaching
Yeah.
you? And I've been a big firm believer of what am I being protected from? I mean, I've seen plenty of
Mhm.
posts where people were complaining about like being late to work or something, but you know, you don't know what car accident you were saved from, or you know, things like that. And I think sometimes when it comes to our goals, we don't know like what's really working behind the scenes that has to fall
Mhm.
into place for those goals to be accomplished.
Absolutely.
Yes, so huge. Yeah. Any other thoughts on delay in your opinion? That it,
Um, that's really the main thing. Like I said, when things are delayed,
Mhm.
um, naturally you can be upset, and it's like, oh, it's inconvenient. You feel some type of way, totally understandable. But I think that seeing the picture is kind of more important. Seeing the bigger picture is more important. Um, for you to get those takeaways, and it's healthier for you to get
Mhm.
that mental part of it together.
Mhm.
But I think that, like I said, like we both kind of said, I think the biggest thing to take away is just reflection. Why, like, why am I being delayed? And I don't know. I'm sorry, I got distracted. My cat.
It's okay. That's allowed. That's allowed.
I'm sorry. Don't have pets, y'all.
They'll cause delays as well.
Right. The pets will cause delays. But yeah, I just think it's important in expanding your perspective on
Mhm.
I think that was even something that you had mentioned in one of the questions you asked
Mhm.
about perspective and how you view delays.
Mhm.
But it expands your perspective, especially after you experience the delay. It's like, okay, I kind of see why, and I think that in future situations, it might cause you to take your time a little more, be a little more patient.
Mhm. Mhm. I love that. Yeah, because I think of a lot of times in life where I was delayed and then the outcome actually came out
Mhm.
better. And I'm like, I was sitting there throwing a fit, whatever about it. And the whole time, this was really, God was working behind the scenes.
Yes.
On something I did not foresee coming, or, you know, better. So I'm really learning that, like, you know, we're supposed to be where we are at this moment. And that's almost like, and y'all, we're not talking about don't be ambitious or nothing like that. But sometimes our ambition can get the best of us, you know, because we start putting like unnecessary pressure on ourselves versus like going with what really is going on. So I feel that. And I'm glad you brought up perspective, because that was literally my next point was changing our perspective of how we see delays. And I think it's so beautiful when you can work on your patience. Like I used to be a very impatient person, still kind of am, but I'm really learning the calmness of that, and that, like, it's like, you know, like, and that we can't control everything. So speaking of delays and things like that, you know, I'm a writer and I experience writer's block, and, you know, that can cause delays when you're trying to do a project or, you know, write something out. So as a songwriter, what's a piece of advice you would give to a songwriter who's experiencing writer's block?
Don't stop moving. You know, don't stop living. Don't stop, you know, don't allow it to consume you. A lot of people that I even hear talking about writer's block, they get so wrapped up in it and they stop moving. They stop living. They just go into a corner and isolate, and it's like, oh, let me think about what I need to say. But I feel like inspiration comes from experiences, and experiences come from living. And a lot of that is your interaction with other people, or you even witnessing interactions with other people. That can be inspiration for you. That can be the light bulb that just randomly goes off. You know, you out at Starbucks having something to drink, and you see a couple interacting, and it inspires your next poem or your next song or your next book. So I think it's just important to not stop moving. You know, don't get so wrapped up in it that it just kind of pulls you away from everything and everybody. Keep moving, keep living, keep having experiences, and docket them. And then when you're ready and it's time, you get it done.
It'll get it done. Well, thank you. That was some good advice for me as well. Cause yeah, I've definitely been guilty of like getting caught up in the writer's block and like getting mad at myself, or like, oh, why can't I? But then you're right, you're spending so much time in that warp, you can't even get nothing out. So
yes,
definitely well said. I hope y'all listening out there and taking notes. Look, she got it real. You guys, it is now time for the tweet up segment. Y'all know I like to be on Twitter, if you want to call it. But something that I tweeted this week that goes with tonight's episode is delay doesn't mean quit. So I actually did a video on this, and it actually got a lot of hits on it, and it's big. You know, I think, you know, and this is actually what I said in the video. I talked about how I compared it to traffic, right? You're on your way somewhere. If you see some traffic, you're not going to turn around and just go home. In the traffic until you get to work or wherever you're trying to go. That's the same way with delays, right? Why? Okay, all of a sudden this delay happened. That's not an invitation to quit. Absolutely. You know, sometimes something is being taught to us. You know, don't let the delay play with your mind. Just like you were saying about don't get caught up in the writer's block. Writer's block is a form of delay, and I feel like we should use that same piece of advice when it comes to delays, when it comes to other parts of our goals. So that's something I definitely wanted to say into that.
Absolutely, yes.
And, you know, I've been learning too. You know, there's a difference between a complete stop and a pause.
Yes.
And, you know, and delays count as pauses, not complete stops. Quitting is the complete stop. So I think you encounter that pause, that ain't the stop. And I feel like that's nothing for us to beat ourselves up about or to feel like we should quit because that little quick stop pause has appeared. So
yeah,
definitely something I want to say with that. You know, have you ever had any pauses on your journey that like were significant?
You know what's funny? Aside from fame itself, honestly, no. And I only say that because I feel like because I've become such a DIY type of person, I'm really adamant about getting stuff done. So for me, and it's also something that I'm kind of working on because it doesn't always benefit me. There is actually times where I wish I would have delayed. There's times where I wish I would have slowed down and said, you know what, not right now. I think that especially when me moving like to a new state and being on my own, I've become very hyper independent. So I feel like once I put my mind on something, which is great, you know, to have that determination. Like once I put my mind on something, it has to get done. I'll set a deadline, and I'm very adamant about that deadline. Like I'm the friend who makes up the schedule in their head, and if stuff don't start going to the schedule, I get an attitude. So
I'm the same way.
But that's just how I am. But there are experiences, like I had an experience a couple years ago where I was preparing for the release of an EP. And there was a personal experience. I was dealing with a guy, and I met him through shooting the cover art of that EP. And we kind of started, you know, dealing with each other, I guess, from that point. And after a while, it started to get messy. It started to get tacky. It started to get humiliating. And so this was also during a time where I had to put out this EP. I had set up, you know, the release date. I had an EP release party. I had all these amazing things going, but the timing literally couldn't have been worse. And I was literally in the middle of trying to promote this EP through heartbreak. And it was really tough. And there was so much of me that really wished that, like looking back, you know, I feel like I wasn't my best self. You know, I had a performance opportunity. I had come back to LA to do After Church LA, which was great for me. And I went out there and I wasn't myself. You know, I had my family and friends there supporting me, but it didn't feel the same because I was dealing with so much personally. All the promotional images had him in them. And it was just a mess. And I really wish that I had taken a little time to set that project aside for a later time, revamp the aesthetic, you know, removed him from it so that it wasn't so hurtful. You know, just I wish I would have redone it, and I wish I would have allowed myself the time. But because I had set that deadline and put out all this information, I was just like, yeah, like let's just go ahead and put it out instead of saying, you know what, you guys, this needs a little more time. And for me, that's honestly a reason why I extend grace to like artists who do that, like bigger artists who I gotta take a break from tour. I need to push back this album release because I'm just not feeling it right now. I'm just not there right now. And a lot of people, you know, they give them crap about it. And it's like, you don't understand. We're people too, no matter how big or, you know, in the beginning stages of your career you are. People are people, and experiences can be tough no matter what those experiences are. And you can't, you know, compare tragedy. You know, it is what it is. And if it sucks for them, then it sucks for them in that moment. So I'm definitely big on, you know, extending grace to artists even when they're experiencing things like that. Because I would want the same grace to be extended to me. Like, I still want y'all to be excited for this EP when it comes out, but I can't do it right now. But never again. That was like a lesson that I learned in like reverse delay. Like, I wish I would have delayed. But now I know, like, I don't plan on rushing any more projects if I'm not in it spiritually, mentally, emotionally, then I won't do it. And my counterparts, my engineers and other artists that I've worked with, they'll tell you about delay because I'm the delay. I'm the delay. Shout out to one of my engineers, Ajax. I say River. He waiting on something from me right now.
You're like, okay, I'm gonna get it when I get it.
I'm the delay, but I have to be like, I gotta be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta be able to feel it so that I can give 100%. You know, and I hate that during that time I was feeling so down because I wanted to enjoy every moment of that. You know, I released this EP. We had a release party. I did a performance. Like, we had all this stuff going around it, and I wasn't able to enjoy it. So never.
Well, yeah, and I actually like how transparent you were about that, because you learned the lesson, like, about giving grace to yourself, and I think even if you like me, for example, a host or anything, when you're in the public spotlight, I think it's sometimes hard to give ourselves grace, because it's like, oh, I got to get this. Like me, like, I have deadlines with shows. I'm like, well, I want to drop this many episodes, but then I recently had like personal things that happened at where I haven't been dropping as consistency, but I had to like get that wake up call, like, okay, to have that grace. And like you said, if it's not right, it's not right. Or if your mental ain't there to do something, like you said, it's human. So I love that. Thanks for sharing that, because I needed to hear that as well. Because I used to get in my head like, dang, I should have done this.
Yeah.
But sometimes delay is just necessary. Like,
yes.
Wonderful example. But guess what? You got some good stuff coming. So
I do.
Yeah.
Just wait on it.
We learn our lesson and we keep it pushing, and we do that. I love it. It is now time for the Life Up segment. So the Life Up is when I take the topic and I relate it to something like a problem in today's world. So tonight's Life Up is thinking your journey isn't going to involve delays, complaining about delays, craving instant gratification, and then sometimes we prolong the delay by being mean to ourselves during the delay. So these are huge things that happen. I don't care what business you're trying to start, you're gonna have delays. That's a part of it. Let's stop paying attention to these videos and make it seem like you start something and by tomorrow your bank account is going to be popping, isn't that? Like, you really don't know what people go through behind the scenes, and we got to stop comparing ourselves to like an illusion people are putting out. But don't get me wrong, there are people that had some overnight success. Things have happened to them. They found some money, but for the most part, anything that you do, there's going to be a delay. And also, too, complaining about the delay. Like you said, there's nothing wrong with that initial frustration. But if we spend so much time dwelling in a delay, we actually make the delay longer than what it was.
Yes. Right.
I can't tell you how many times I had a delay and I sat there in a circle just going off about it. And I could have fixed it in all that time. And I sit there here. So we go just push that to the side. And gratification, that ain't real. That's the social media and it's technology that got us thinking that. So I think about people from the old school days, like before the internet, how people really sold albums.
Yeah. Footwork. Like, was out in the field.
Literally.
Selling albums.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like, we could not comprehend that today. I'm sorry. We got so much to do. I'm going to push this button. And that's why I think our generation is having a harder time with delay versus, the years before us, because that was normal.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Right. So yeah, y'all, instant gratification is messing with you. And let's be kind to ourselves during the delay. I'm very big on self-talk, positive self-talk. So you got to still keep yourself uplifted, even when it gets challenging, even when it gets hard. So what are you telling yourself during those delays? So I kind of already asked you this. Well, you know, we're not going, you kind of answered the question. So we'll push it. So how do we fix this? So like I just mentioned, our self-talk could be worked on and not expecting instant gratification. Do you have any solutions to those topics I kind of mentioned? Any advice you want to give out?
Yes. Prioritize your peace.
Ooh, yes.
Please prioritize your peace. Those 3 words, they qualify for everything. You can apply them to anything, even in situations where you're experiencing delay and you find yourself frustrated and upset. If your first thought is prioritize your peace, that's gonna instantly calm you down, for one, because you don't want yourself to be in a situation where you're so riled up and all over the place mentally just because you're upset, to the point to where you can't even pinpoint any solutions or any workarounds for your current situation. I'm very solution based as a person. So when I'm hit with a problem, it's not to say I'm not affected by it, but one of my first thoughts is also, okay, How do we fix this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I am learning I'm still learning, but it's kind of gone along with protecting my peace is learning to release things I don't have control of.
Mm.
So if a delay occurs and it's like, okay, well, the date changed for this, the studio isn't available. Okay, the date changed, the studio isn't available. Those are the facts. It's upsetting, it's inconvenient, but there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm immediately gonna go into problem solving mode, into solution mode. And okay, maybe if we just can't do this right now, we can't do this right now. What can we do right now, to make some change? We can't do nothing. Okay, well I'm chilling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna sit down somewhere. I'm gonna take a bath, and I'm gonna mind my business until we can make something shake. But that goes into if you making sure that your peace is the first priority, even over your project. Sometimes, I can't think of anything that is more important than my peace of mind. Because if I can't function peacefully, then that disrupts everything around me. My work, my personal life, my relationships, my friendships, for those of us who are parents, any of that can be disrupted when you're not, So I feel like it's important to take those moments to just, if you can't find a solution, that's okay. That's totally fine. It's okay. It just means, we got a little pause right here. Take that time to focus on you.
Well said. Yes. Hope y'all look. She dropping it. You came there. You was like ready for speak up. And then to add on to how do we fix this? Use delays as time to regroup and learn. And good things don't come fast all the time. But look, we all rushing things. We don't need nothing rushed. It is now time for the drink up water segment. So if you listen, please pull out some water and drink some water. And I got a water fact for tonight. This is also a solution for delays. Drink some water. So the drink up fact for tonight is drinking plenty of water does make sure that the cells inside the voice box are nourished and resilient. If the body as a whole is dehydrated, the vocal folds get tired faster. They recover more slowly from heavy use, according to St. Oath College. So, speaking of you being a singer and stuff, I had to bring up something with singing. So, yeah,
I like that.
Let's drink. Yeah, I'm on here talking all day on here. So keep the vocal cords correct, drink some water, mind your business, and enjoy the delay. So that's
like that.
So in honor of Women's History Month, what's your favorite thing about being a woman, and who is a woman that you look up to and why?
Okay. My favorite thing about being a woman, there are two.
Okay.
The first thing is versatility in looks. As a stylist, it's definitely versatility in looks because women can pull off anything, especially Black women.
I got it.
But to add to that, I would say the wisdom and emotional intelligence that just comes naturally for us. People be struggling with it. The other species be struggling with it.
Like, here we go.
Although sometimes it can be a bit of a burden, it can be, it can be heavy. I understand, but it's powerful and it's important to human interaction. It's important, just in day-to-day activities, from how you deal with people at work to how you deal with your personal relationships. Having that wisdom and that intuition and that emotional intelligence has gotten me so far. And it's not to say that, I've perfected it, because I haven't. But it's as I get older and I experience more things and I start to expand on that intelligence and expand on that wisdom, it really teaches me a lot about myself. And it teaches me about how I handle situations that I'm presented with. Sometimes I fall short, when I experience something I haven't experienced before, and it's a little, like I'll panic a little bit. But I feel like the woman in me kind of like snatches me up real quick, like, no, this is what we do. So I respect that because I feel like I don't know. I really feel like it comes naturally for women. I don't think it comes naturally for men.
I do it naturally.
Okay. And a woman that I look up to, there are so many. There's so many, but I'll give you two: my mom and my godmother. Mom, she's technically she's my aunt. I was adopted at birth, so she's technically my aunt, but for real, she's my mom. Like that's my everything. She is she's so many things, but her level of determination and like she's relentless. Like she is like a fireball. And she will be 75 this year.
Oh, wow.
And she is just so like on fire, like so attentive and so adamant about, maybe that's where I get it from, like just getting stuff done. But I admire how strong she is. I admire everything that she's tried to be, from, voluntarily bringing me home from the hospital back in March of 1992, and, really honing in on that parenting responsibility with a newborn, again, after she had already raised two kids. I'm always going to respect her for stepping up to the plate, because I don't know what I would have turned out to be if it wasn't her. And then my godmother, she's like my self-proclaimed godmother. She's like my favorite godmother. I met her when I was about 13 or 14. She was one of my mentors growing up in the Boys and Girls Club. And she taught me so much. My mom was a little more sheltered. She didn't put me on too much, like she taught me about the importance of education, the importance of poise and class, and things like that, which was very important, especially growing up as a young girl in South Central. But my godmother, she gave me my street smart. And it was so fortunate and so crazy, because at me growing into teenagehood and even young adulthood, I was having a lot of the same experiences that she had when she was around my age. So she was able to give me so much game, and I learned so much from her. And even though, I still fell victim to the game a few times, it wasn't something I didn't know. And I appreciate her for taking me under her wing and saying, like, I'm going to make sure you know what's up. Even to this day, in a few days, I'll be 33. And to this day, I still go to her, if I need to, even if it's just advice on hair. Those two women, alongside other women, of course, but those two played such a huge role in the woman I am today. So always grateful for them.
Hey, that's a beautiful answer. And, shout out to the amazing women out there. I think it's beautiful how us as women have other women to go to for knowledge and wisdom. I feel like it never stops. Like you said, no matter what age you're about to turn, it's beautiful to have friends, older and younger, you kind of go to, and your age. And, things are always changing. So thank you for that beautiful answer. Like, yes, let's shout out. I just want to celebrate the women right now. Yes. Y'all are we appreciate it. Look, powerful. It is now time for the Poet Up segment. Let me see. So y'all know I like to write poetry. I do this segment to keep me accountable. So here's like a quote or two from one of my poems. I ain't got a title for this poem yet. Oh, it's called His Eyes, whatever. So here we go. His eyes gleamed like marbles when he looked at me, shining with the voice of admiration when they met mine, a greeting with the sense of familiarity. Familiar like a tick of a clock. I don't feel a sense of time when I'm around him. So that was just something short and sweet to share. Oh, look at the stats. Okay.
Period.
Oh, period. Yeah, I know, right? Here we go. I'm trying to keep myself going. We're gonna defeat writer's block, okay? So,
Yes.
so speaking of lyrics and quotes and things like that, if at the top of your head, what's your favorite lyric quote you have written and why? It's something like if you had to think right now, something that you written. Just one too. It can't be like all three. I mean, like, what's one that's standing out right now?
Okay. It would be from my song, My Greatest Sin.
Mm.
And it would be the line of, dang, it's in the second verse. Hold on, now I gotta remember. Yeah,
I know so many lyrics flying in your head.
save me my son. Okay, so I mean, it's kind of like a stanza, but it says, "Found me in my lowest moment, saved me from myself, rewrote all that I was feeling into safely loving you."
Ooh,
and that crazy. That was about nobody.
those are the best, huh?
I did not. I was actually completely heartbroken when I wrote it. It was coming off of that situation that I was dealing with after the release of that EP.
Mm-hmm.
It was coming off of that, and I was not feeling that type of feeling from nobody's son. But it kind of became a bit of a manifestation. And when I go back and listen to the song now, it literally just makes me think of my current relationship. Like I wrote it for him. Like everything that I wrote in that song, I now feel in my current relationship.
Mm-hmm. So that is where it's funny how that foreshadowed.
Yes.
Sometimes writing does that as well. You know, you're literally manifesting. So, okay. Thank you for sharing a piece of your work with us. It is now time, you guys, for the show up segment. This is the show up segment. So if you're out there listening, please comment. I want to know how you guys showed up for yourself this week. So how did I show up for myself this week? I showed up for myself this week by staying cute. And I say that one of my homegirls always says, no matter what you're going through, stay cute. So I kind of had like a little rocky week this last week, but you guess what? I stayed cute through it. And you know what? That actually helps your mindset. Like people be thinking like when you go through things, you got to look crazy. No. Like I'ma still put that stuff on, get my nails will feel good. Because when you feeling good in here, then I feel like it makes the challenge less like, oh my goodness, you know, it's like I'm looking good, so I'm a somewhat feel good, then I could get that solution based mindset and do what I got to do. So that's how I showed up for myself this week. What about you? How did you show up for yourself this week?
Well, honestly, the weekend was kind of tough for me. Emotionally, I was just dealing with some things, and I kind of went into a little hole. I deactivated my Instagram for like 30 seconds, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna cancel everything. I don't want to do the video shoot anymore. I almost didn't want to do the interview anymore. I was completely out of it, and I was like, you know what? No. Because this is what I do. Like, this is who I am. And I'm not going to allow myself any more pity time. I do tend to run and hide when I'm feeling away. I'm infamous for deactivating my Instagram. I'm infamous for hiding and just isolating. But I decided that I wasn't going to do that. I was like, I'm going to do this interview. I'm going to be seen. I'm reactivating my Instagram. I'm going to do this video shoot. I'm going to push through and do everything that I promised myself I was going to do over these next couple of weeks. My birthday is coming up. Like, I'm going to do everything I said that I was going to do. I'm going to make this music, and I'm going to go about it the same way that I have planned to. I'm not going to cut any corners because I'm not feeling it or because I'm sad. And it's only because, what I was experiencing wasn't something that, it wasn't like the end all be all. It wasn't a necessary delay. It was something that I was just choosing because I was kind of feeling sorry for myself a little bit. But it wasn't necessary. And I decided, you know what, I'm gonna push through it. And that's another thing too to take away when it comes to delays. Having the discernment to be able to tell, you know, when it's a necessary delay, especially if it's something you caused yourself. Like, if it's necessary, do we need this delay, or am I just putting it off because I'm procrastinating, or because I'm feeling sorry for myself, or because somebody told me it wasn't a good idea and their opinion is usually not to be trusted. Like, so I kind of had to make that decision. Like, no, I'm not going to delay this because this is actually something I need to do. This is something I want to do. And it actually makes me feel better. So we're going to go forth. And I'm actually glad I did. Because I feel better.
Yes, and I must say, I'm happy you came on here. Look, we're having this amazing we don't know who this conversation is touching, and your vulnerability actually is going to help somebody. So, no, girl, I'm glad you're doing that. I'm glad you're sticking to the plan that you had. Like, it's gonna happen. And sometimes, like I said, it goes with the delay of gives us time to regroup. So maybe it was a necessary delay for you to have that epiphany. Like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. So
yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited for what's coming for you. So here we go.
Thank you.
But you guys, it is now time for the wrap up segment. So this is the wrap up segment. So how does this relate to self love? Self love is loving yourself enough to love yourself through the delay. So when delays happen, don't question yourself. Like, I feel like sometimes when challenges arise, we go this way first, and we're always like trying to pick at ourselves or what we could have done differently. And sometimes, like you said, it's out of our control, and it's like, what's the solution? So still give yourself that big warm hug, even if it is your fault. Love yourself through it, so we can get to the root and get through the delay. So that's the wrap up for tonight. So before we go, how do you practice self-love?
Like I mentioned earlier, I'm really big on my peace. And that's even just aside from, the physical things we can do, like, retail therapy or taking a hot bowl bath. Yeah. But it's really about the emotional and the mental. And that is the hardest work, but it's the most important work as well. So in the long haul, when I look over everything that I've done, everything I've accomplished, I always see where I prioritize my peace. Like, I see where I put it at the top of the list. And so that's always going to be my go-to. It's always going to, releasing that control of things we can't control, and embracing that peace and embracing ourselves. Like you said, giving ourselves that pat on the back, that hug, even when you don't feel like you should or like you deserve it, you always deserve it. So go ahead and give it to yourself, put that piece at the top of the list, do the work inside, and everything else will follow that.
Oh, yes. Shout out. I'm going to snap for that one. And final question I love to ask all my guests, what do you want to be remembered for?
Oh, wow. What do I want to be remembered for? Oh, man. I want to be remembered for being genuine, being real with myself, with other people. And I want to be remembered for, I don't know, I feel like I've been in situations where I kind of remind people of who they are, just like people have done for me, like some elders or role models that I've had growing up. I think it's important to be reminded who you are, and I find myself in that position a lot with friends or just people that I come across who ask for advice or whatever. But I want them to remember, you know what, like, Alayah told me this, and it kind of snapped me back to reality. It snapped me back to who I was. That always feels good to me when people say that to me. Like, so definitely for being real, for being genuine, like I said, with myself and others, and also for being able to remind people who they are and get them back to themselves. so that they can, move forward and live their best life.
Yes, I absolutely love it. And remember, you guys, delays are a part of the journey and trust the process. So even when it seems rocky, it's easy to trust it and trust God. I'm big on God. Like, I trust God, big on that. So I appreciate you coming on here, dropping gems, opening up to us, sharing your story. Before we go, can you shout your information out? Where can people find you and tap in with your music?
Yes. So I am on all streaming platforms. I do have music out. I'm Alayah Simone. So that's ALAYAHSIMONE. Y'all can see it down here. But Alayah Simone on all platforms. You guys can find me on Instagram. I believe my name is Alayah Simone on Instagram. But my Instagram name is Who is the LAYAH. Shout out to Aaliyah.
Yeah, I was like,
That's my Instagram name. But if you can't find it, you can just search Alayah Simone and it'll pop up. You guys can also tap in with my stylist and creative direction page. It is 92, the number 92 dot watts, WATTS. So that's 92 dot watts for 92 watts productions.
here we go, y'all. Make sure y'all tap in. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
And
having me.
yes, and I appreciate y'all tapping in to Speak Up JV. Please tell your friends about Speak Up JV. You can follow on Instagram at Speak Up JV. My personal is at Vernisa. I'm on X, all that. So we'll be back. I'll be back with another cool episode. Love you guys. Take care. Bye.